How's it going, guys? I wanted to take a few minutes in this video to talk about something that I think it is real important, and that is, of course, our right of self-defense. With recent events that have been in the news, I think that we need to really consider the things that are happening around us. We need to look at what's happening. We need to see how those can affect our lives. With the way that some of these protests and things have been going, it's virtually impossible to know when something could happen. It's that way everywhere, but what we're seeing now happen is we are starting to see in some situations where people who defend themselves are actually becoming victim to more than just the mob. We're starting to actually see some people getting prosecuted or, under the threat of prosecution simply to satisfy the mob. Now, I've written a detailed article on my website at boomsticktactical.com. You can see it here on the screen. I'll leave a card up here in the corner as well as a link down in the description below. Go over and check that out because there's some things that we need to see that's in it. The first thing that we have to ask ourselves is, what do you do when 911 is not there to help? There's many examples that we've seen recently also where 911 operators are unable to help. You can see the article that I have here on the screen where an operator basically tells the caller that there's nothing they can do, that they are going to basically just deal with it yourself. That is a scary situation. This is one of many examples of why we cannot trust the police to protect us in every situation. Our first responders, they do what they can, but right now they're very demoralized, especially in some areas, and they cannot be everywhere at once. Another example here, we can't do anything, 911 caller says, to a mother in Virginia. All right, this recently happened in Virginia. Some of you guys may have seen the video that was on the news about it, but they basically told her that she needed to complain to City Hall, that there was nothing that they could do. This is terrible. This is an absolute travesty. But at the same time, some other things that we are starting to see is where, of course, we all remember this couple here. They are the couple that protected their home, that did what they could do. The police were not there to help them. Their private security was not there to help them at that time, so they did what they could by themselves. They have been in the news quite a bit, but and of course now they do have guards at their home because those protesters had returned. But one of the things that we need to look at is, this is what I was talking about here. The prosecutor has launched an investigation into this couple. They, in St. Louis, Missouri is a stand your ground state. It's a castle doctrine state, and they were protecting their home. These people broke through a gate onto private property. However, that prosecutor out there is looking to charge this couple. She wants to do whatever she can to make sure that the mob has their way, to make sure that they become victims of not only that mob, but of the justice system and anyone that threatens this mob rule, this mob mentality that's out there, has got to face wrath. That's what she's basically doing. This is an absolute travesty. The system is set up to be able to protect innocent people. And when the innocent people are unable to be protected by those responsible for doing so, you cannot prosecute people for protecting themselves. This is an absolute travesty. Another example here that I'm sure that many of you all have seen, this woman here, if you watch the full video, and I have the full unedited video embedded in the article on my website at boomsticktactical.com, if you watch the full video of what happened and then put yourself into that situation to see what you would have done differently. Okay? They're prosecuting these people. This couple, they were arrested. They were charged with a felony assault. The husband has lost his job over this. Even though he was just there and in the vehicle, where he worked at, the university that he worked at, they fired him. They just got rid of him. again, to satisfy the desires of the mob. They wanted to keep another riot from happening. That's exactly what it is out there. They wanted to try to, prosecute these people in hopes that the mob doesn't go out there and riot and destroy stuff and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's an obvious thing. It's obvious as far as why they did this. They physically, and you can see it in the video, go over to my website, check out that video. You can see in the video, it is very clear that this couple was doing everything they can to leave this situation peacefully. It's a stand your ground state out there. They didn't have to actually do that. They tried to get out of the situation peacefully. They done everything, in my opinion, they did everything that they should. They were calm up until the point that those people were literally, and you can see it, get behind their vehicle to try to stop them from leaving. That's when she came out. She's got her 2 young kids in the car with her. Her husband is in there. She's pregnant. And then these people are literally blocking them from leaving. All right. They start banging on her car. So she pulls her weapon. What would you do in a situation like this? There comes a time when no one is there to help, which you can hear in the video. She tried to call 911. She was telling her husband to call 911. And when the police got involved, finally, they ended up arresting this couple. This is another tragedy. What we're seeing across the country is the complete breakdown of a system that, yes, has had problems, but now it's gotten to the point to where it is breaking down. That's all there is to it. If the police cannot protect you, the police are demoralized because they're, again, in situations to where they try to protect themselves, they are being prosecuted. We've seen that down in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. We've seen what's happening there, and it's only getting worse. The reality is, folks, we are in very unique times, and the steps that we make, the steps that we take in trying to protect ourselves, basically in some areas, in some situations, you're going to be deciding whether or not you're going to face prosecution or if you're just going to lay down and take it. And the fact is, you've got to protect your family, yourself, that sort of thing. I know what I would do if I was in that situation. You got to protect your family. But at the same time, these people should not have to make that choice. I really think that what we need to start doing is we need to start going after some of these politicians and pushing them to put in place a few more protections for people who defend themselves, who legitimately defend themselves. That's what I'm talking about. It varies between state and municipality across the country. Things that you can legally do in one area to protect yourself, you cannot legally do in another. But there needs to be a little bit more consistency in that, and I really think that there needs to be some other steps taken, just like that prosecutor out there in St. Louis where they're going after that couple. There needs to be something in place that will tell that prosecutor, look, this is obviously a case of self-defense. They were on their own property. This mob was there. And of everything that they'd seen, they were in fear of their own safety and their own lives. If you watch the video of their interview, again, I've got it embedded on the article right here. Go check it out. I've got those videos here. If you watch this video, you're going to see exactly what that man was afraid of, right? We have to have the ability to protect ourselves. It is the most basic of human rights. Self-preservation, self-defense. As far as the methods used, that's where the state comes in, and there's varying policies over it. But we really need to be watching what's happening here because this is becoming dangerous. What we're seeing now is a situation where these politicians, these public officials in some areas are giving in to the mob rule. They are prosecuting victims in order to satisfy the mob. That is very dangerous to our entire system, okay? When it gets to the point that you've got law enforcement and others prosecuting people for protecting themselves, most of the people that are trying to protect themselves, a lot of them are going to be people who would normally support law enforcement. And when we see law enforcement officers go after these people, just like that couple out there at the Chipotle restaurant, when we see law enforcement go after them, it kind of makes everybody else think, wait a minute, why are you going after them for just trying to keep themselves safe? Trying to protect her kids, trying to protect herself. Why are you doing that? If you are a law enforcement officer, I would really like to know what your thoughts are on the incident out there in Chipotle. And there again, I've got the video here where you can see the full unedited video of exactly what happened. Go to my website, check out that video, and then let me know down in the comments exactly what your thoughts are of that. Especially those of you who work in the justice system. I would really like to know, what legal avenue would this lady have been able to take other than what she did, if what she did was illegal? Personally, I don't see a problem with it. I think that it is, I really think that she acted in self-defense, in my opinion, but I'm not a lawyer, and that's something that I would really like to hear someone who is a legal expert, someone involved in law enforcement. I would really like to hear what their thoughts are on that. But, that's just a few thoughts that I had on this situation. We are in very unique times. I really recommend that any of you guys out there get some training, learn what the laws are in your area. Talk to a lawyer in your area. Find out exactly what you can and cannot do to protect yourself. The more knowledge that you have, the better off you're going to be. But again, at the same time, even though if you follow the law, what we're seeing is you still run the risk of being prosecuted. It's just a bad situation, guys. But it's just a little bit of a rambling video. Again, go over to my website. I've got a whole article where I had written about some of these situations there. But let me hear from you guys. I'd love to know. But guys, anyway, stay safe, be careful. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the links down in the description, and we'll see you next time.